Hello everybody out there, welcome back to Altcoin Buzz Trading. I'm Randy. Today we're going to be talking about Bitcoin, GALA Games, and Internet Computer, and stay tuned for your TA tip of the day. Alright, so let's get right to BTC. If no one is aware, this is actually a holiday weekend in the US. Today is Labor Day, so cryptos kind of also have a 3-day weekend, and what we talked about last week in regards to this pop-up and this reversal not being very bullish remains the same. It is not very bullish. And the action also is not very bullish. Something curious to note is that on the left side of this structure down here, all these closes are actually above where our higher closes are for the highs or the low or I should say the open or the close of the session. And so from there, we do have reduced momentum already, looking like we're waiting for something to take us lower. We may get that this week. We'll see about that. You know, timing these things is very difficult, but Bitcoin has already shown that it doesn't want to stay higher based on last week. And so your bias really does have to be to the downside. And at this point in time, we're just waiting for the breakdown. So volume is going to be your clue on the way down here. Let's go to the 2-hour time frame. See what we can find out. See a little bit more in depth. So here's that horizontal that we just drew. We were able to get above it. These are these kind of spike lows. We're still above those spike lows, but you can see here we're having some spike highs. This guy right here is proving to be your resistance. So this is what I call a breakdown point, is where the market starts to really drop dramatically, and kind of where those closes end is the breakdown point. The high before the breakdown point is also valid, and that's what this line represents, which we've been unable to get over. If we're able to get over this line, then we're going to be chopping around for a while. Until then, the drop is, at least feels imminent, and it could be imminent. So keep that in mind going forward. You don't want to be too bullish on Bitcoin down here. If you do, you have to have a really tight stop loss, likely at this level here, which is about the 25,348. So keep that in mind if you're bullish on BTC. Until then, until the market opens tomorrow, we'll see. Maybe much ado about nothing for the next 24 hours or so. All right, next let's look at GALA Games, which we actually had a trade on. And this is going to lead into our TA tip of the day. So here we had a trade on, if you remember, the market was really bearish. This thing had a symmetrical triangle on it. And then it actually popped up, stopped us out, and rolled right over. Now, something you can do in these situations, believe it or not, is actually jump back in the trade, as painful as it may be. And that's difficult to do. And this actually is our TA tip of the day, so I'll give it to you right now. Being able to get back in trades that haven't been fully negated after you get stopped out. It's hard to do because trading is emotional, and people will feel bad that, oh, I just got stopped out. This coin sucks. I hate it, blah, blah, blah. But I want you to notice something. I'm going to take my top line here, which I have not altered since last time, and look right where it came to. It came to the top of the pattern. That does not negate the pattern. That's actually another point of resistance. And it hit the resistance and rolled right over. So it did stop us out. That's okay. It happens. Remember, I mentioned, I think it was on Friday, that we're only going to, win 30 to 40% of our trades in most circumstances. So this money management is fine. I mean, you only took a 1.8% stop loss. Really not too bad. And if you re-entered this trade, look what's happened since. We're back down here playing with our full measured move. So you've made 10x what you've lost if you re-entered this trade. So you have to keep that in mind as we go through this. As you see these, it pays to keep an eye on things, because this setup never got invalidated. It ended up working, and now we're lower. We're still looking like we could go lower, although we do have some high volume bottoming right here that could sustain us up here for a period of time. We could go further down than this. This is not a bullish setup at all. Let's go back to the daily time frame on this. And if you can see where GALA Games is right now, it's really not a great place to be. We're sitting down near all-time lows. We break all-time lows, nobody's going to want this thing. Nobody. And it's going to absolutely fall apart. It could take a while. It's not going to be a one-candle deal, but it's already eroded away substantially, and likely would erode away further if we break this 1530 level here. All right, Internet Computers next. And this one also looking at in all-time lows. This is one of the look at this. Oh, this thing is so bad. When this thing IPO'd or ICO'd, this was number 6. I want to remind you of that. There's a way to manipulate your market cap, and these guys did a very good job of that, ICOing at number 6. I don't even know where they're at right now. Last time we looked, it was well over a market cap of 100. They've got to be 200 plus now, but the amount of devastation here looks like it's going to continue. Let's jump. This chart, some of these charts, just as a chartist myself, they just make me laugh. All right, so let's take a look here. So we'll take another measured move. If you're noticing a theme here on the channel, you're going to continue seeing that. This isn't one that I typically subscribe to. You can actually have 2 measured moves off of this one. I like being a little bit less aggressive, so we'll take the depth of the cup. Remember, I just mentioned inverted cup and handle. I'll show that to you in a second. So here are our 2 targets. I'm going to invert the chart. And what you're going to notice is this here actually looks like a very normal cup and handle. So a cup and handle is actually an accumulation pattern. What happens is they bring the price up, it consolidates, people take a little bit of profit, but they can't drop it too low because it's under accumulation in a general sense. And so things drift back up. Once it gets back to the prior high, they don't want to break it out. They want to pay as low a price as they can. So they pause their buying, creating this handle right here. And because this is an inverted cup and handle, you can substitute accumulation with distribution. So they're selling it. Let's re-invert it or uninvert it. So they're selling it. They want to sell more, but they don't want it to go lower than that. So that it comes up. They start selling again. They sell it a bunch here. They want to sell as much as they can, as high as they can. And once the market finally gives up, the sellers will just dump everything. Should lead to a high volume breakout. You see the low volume in the handle here. That's key to the pattern. So 3 low volume candles does happen to be a weekend. It is what it is. But on the way down through this level here, and the level's 3,181. Through that level, we should get increased volume, ideally 40% above average, and average right now is this orange line on the volume. You can actually get this if you don't have this on your chart. If you go to the volume up here, hit the cog wheel here. You go to style. There's a little checkbox right here for volume moving average. I'm not sure what the default is, but if you don't have it, it's good to have volume moving average. It gives you a sense of what's going on with the volume. All right, so the play here is as follows. We're going to take a short, and we're going to enter on the breakdown point here. We're going to take the small target for the time being, and we're going to assume that the high has already been established. If the high has not been established and we don't break out and we keep rising a little bit, this will get more aggressive. And I'll show you an alternative way to play this in a second. So if your entry is here at the 318, your stop's at the 334.5. Your target is 271. That's a 2.9 risk reward trade, almost a 3. And we talked about that's a pretty good risk reward ratio. An alternative way to play this is you can actually go with the trend line itself. And I'm going to dive down to the 2 hour for a moment to do this. You could actually play the trend line that develops. It's an alternative entry scenario. And what happens is your entrance actually gets moved to here. Okay. Kind of right at the trend line. We can actually move it up just a little bit there. And our risk reward ratio is 3.8. Did that get worse? Something like that. Anyway, 3.8. If it breaks a little bit later in the day, maybe it'll be a little bit better than that. But that's the trade. Let's go back to the daily time frame. And if that works out really well, and things are looking good on the way down, you can extend this down, all the way to the bottom of the full-blown measured move. This is such a bearish pattern. That gives you a 5.5. But you have to make sure that it gets to this first target fairly easily. Okay, you can't have a lot of accumulation down at the lows or anything like that. You want to see things really look bad to give this thing the full measured move. Like I've mentioned, I don't want to be too aggressive with my trading. I want to be wise with it and take profits where appropriate. But that being said, we are in a bearish market environment and we haven't had a full-blown breakdown. So if we have a full-blown breakdown, by that I mean a breakdown in Bitcoin, this could reach the full measured move. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and that's it. And like I mentioned earlier, your TA tip of the day is to get back into trades that aren't fully negated. And I think that's a good one. I won't call it an advanced trading strategy, but it makes sense when you think of it in the terms that I've told you. as long as it's not negated, you can jump back in. So in other words, if this thing rallied all the way up to here, now here's a breakdown point too, but if it rallies to here, it's a completely different trade. This is no longer a valid trade. You can't trade this scenario. You would trade this on its own. Okay, it'd be a completely different trade. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's about it. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow on Altcoin Buzz Trading.